Tekken team gonna start trying to charge us to watch Tekken tournaments? Now, that may seem like a crazy opening sentence to hear, but an article came out recently and Harada had some words to say. And I think this is quite interesting timing. I think it's quite an interesting topic of discussion. And just to put my whole stance out there before we begin, I don't think it's a good idea. Obviously, Street Fighter are doing that for Capcom Cup. I don't know if you guys have heard. We'll be talking about that in a second as well. Capcom Cup for Street Fighter, which is the equivalent of the Tekken World Tour Finals, will be a pay-per-view event for, I think, for the top 8 finals. I don't think for the entire thing, but for the top 8 finals will be a pay-per-view event if you would like to watch it live. Now, that has obviously never been a thing for Tekken, and obviously Street Fighter are now trying out this model for their Capcom Cup. Obviously, there's been a lot of pushback from the community. They don't see that as a great idea. And we do have Harada talking about his thoughts and feelings on that. Well, guys, before we begin, do not forget, link to the Metafy in the description. I'm a professional Tekken player with lots of expertise, and you can see here by these reviews that I am good at what I do, allegedly. Coaching is open no matter what character you play and no matter what region you're in. People ask me, are NA people allowed? Yes, you are. Is it only Hwarang players? No, it is not. Anyone can receive coaching. This is up for you guys. Now, on to what Harada had to say. So why this is kind of big news topic right now is this article just came up by VGC. Tekken series producer Katsuhiro Harada says he's quite interested in Capcom's decision to charge fans to stream upcoming Street Fighter 6 tournament finals. A lot of influencers are making big money off of their streams, Harada said. Now, this is just the title, this is just the headline, so we're not going to focus on that too much. We'll get into the article because sometimes it can be a bit clickbaity, so we want to ignore that for a moment. Now, one thing I do find quite interesting before I begin talking about anything else, a lot of ads, is we haven't heard anything about the balance of the game in quite some time. I do think it is kind of insane, like the first time we hear them speak, as it were, is on this. Like, even when Michael Murray seems to be tweeting, they're not really saying anything about the direction the game is going. And obviously, they cannot be unaware of the fact that the game isn't in its best state right now. People say it all the time. They do get added in tweets from time to time. And I do understand that it might be a kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't for them. Because if they do tweet something about the game, people are just going to shit on them anyway. And they don't tweet anything, people are going to shit on them anyway. I do understand that may make them a bit hesitant. Also, they might not be allowed to say things. They may have the higher ups and just guys, you must just keep working on the game. I have no doubt that is what they are doing. They are just keeping their heads down. Or at least the developers, anyway, not Michael Murray Harada. The developers, anyway, the people actually working on the balance, are just getting their heads down and getting to work and fixing things and getting ready for season 3. I don't like that approach personally. I feel like it looks like they are just going to rely on season 3 being the big, this is our last Detroit smash. This is gonna be what saves the game. But with that, only time will tell. Again, I was someone who I would have appreciated just changes over time, testing things out, getting community feedback, and then when season 3 comes around, they have a better idea. But it seems like they're just head down. When season 3 comes out, that's gonna decide where we go from here. Now let's get into this article. So Tekken boss Harada says he's quite interested in Capcom's decision to charge Street Fighter tournament streams. So in case you guys aren't aware, it was announced during Tokyo Game Show in September that the finals of Capcom Cup 12 and the SFL World Championship would be streaming live via pay-per-view. So if you want to watch the Capcom Cup finals live, SFL World Championship finals live, you must pay a cost to get in. It is 4,000 yen to watch the Capcom Cup 12 finals on March 14th and 4,000 yen for the Street Fighter League World Championship on March 15th. Alternatively, there's one available for 6,000 yen, allows you to watch both finals. Now, the problem that people have had with this as well is it is not regional pricing, so it is 4,000 yen, 6,000 yen, no matter where you are in the world. Obviously, that might end up pricing out certain regions. I think for Street Fighter, it was also a bit of a travesty because one of their best stories right now is the young Chilean Blas, 15 years old, 16 years old, super young. He was in Capcom Cup Grand Finals last year, and just a huge story, his rise. And obviously in a region like that, without regional pricing, you might start pricing out some of the people who want to support him, want to be there to support that guy, right? Like, he has been sort of a bit of a hero for the region to sort of come out of nowhere and do what he's done. We've had similar stories in Tekken with Arsanash in Pakistan, which is why in the FGC, this isn't really something that I think people are willing to support, people want to see, because again, we have people from all walks of life all over the place that are able to get into it. Like, fighting games can really be for anyone at the end of the day. And some people got their start from like watching World Tour finals. Like, imagine being you know a young Pakistani player seeing Arsanash on the big stage because you just had to watch a free live stream of Evo Japan, or Evo any of the other many tournaments he's won. That's the type of thing that gets people into the scene, the stories. And by sort of pricing, like having that sort of gate, you know, that barrier for entry, that's not something people are a big fan of. And obviously I personally am not a fan of it as well. And here's the thing, why I'm a bit confused by this as well, is the Tekken team, or at least Michael Murray and Harada, are aware of this themselves. They are aware it's not a great thing to do. At least Michael Murray is, because at the Evo France Top 8, just before we had the Mierizo trailer, they were talking about Tekken World Tour Finals, and Michael Murray said this.
Matches, and these, although you can't spectate on site, they'll be viewable online for free.
So, hi, this is K-Wiz from the future editing this video. Just want to quickly interject, and I find this even more confusing because this interview in which we're getting like everything from where this article is taken from happened at Evo France. I'll mention this later on in the video, but I feel like it's good to interject now. This interview happened at Evo France. So Michael Murray, when he made this announcement, he was like, hey, it'll be viewable for free, everyone online. Yeah, so he's aware it's not something that, at least Michael Murray's aware it's not something the community are a fan of. So yeah, it's just a bit interesting to me that it seems like during the interview, Harada is mentioning there's going to be something down the line interesting for Tekken, perhaps, but also acknowledges it's not a favorable decision by mentioning it there at the Evo France before Top 8. Michael Murray made the efforts to mention, hey, by the way, Tekken World Tour Finals, even though there's the group stage, even though there is no spectating available on site, you can watch them online for free. Now, that is obviously a dig at Capcom and Street Fighter. You know, that's something they've never mentioned before. They never said, hey, by the way, it's free to watch. It's obviously a dig at Capcom and Street Fighter, and then saying, hey, by the way, like they're charging. But for us, ours is completely free. So why not watch Tekken World Tour Finals instead of Capcom Cup, even though they're not taking place at the same time? So you can watch both events if you really desire to. And obviously it's going to say like there was backlash from the Street Fighter fans, and Capcom are going to start reviewing the pricing, but it will still be pay-per-view. They say we'll be reviewing the price, but it will still be pay-per-view. They're not taking away. They are 10 toes down on the price and the fact it will be pay-per-view. Now, in an interview with the Game Business, Harada said he's interested in the idea of charging to stream tournaments because he sees others making money off such events. Now, I've actually not seen this interview yet because, again, before seeing that interview, my big gripe right now is the fact that, hey, you know, we still haven't heard anything about the balance for our game. We don't know what direction we're going. We're a bit scared. You know, I think we've had a very good time. Like September was a good time. Even now, November has been a good time to make small balance changes that won't be too impactful, because again, there are tournaments still happening, but the Tekken World Tour finishes this weekend. We have Tiger Uppercut, the last Tekken Tour event, and then the finals will be in January. But the EMEA Tekken Cup starts in December. The moment Tekken World Tour finishes, EMEA Cup starts, and now that's another tour and series where they have to start, you know, we can't balance because the tournament's happening. But like, I do feel like it is less of a blow to do it during this time, because again, it only is going to affect our regions, like it's Europe, Middle East, and Africa, only affects those regions. But for the rest of the world, they don't really have massive, like the Tekken World Tour is over, EWC is over. Like, these are really the times to start getting a few balance patches here and there, seeing what they can do, and then when we get to season 3, we know whether some things are good or some things are bad. Harada goes on to say, if you look at other things such as these events that we have being streamed, people are participating, whether average streamers or big influencers. Lots of companies are coming and putting money into advertisements for these events, and a lot of influencers are making big money off of their streams. But the revenue for our games doesn't reflect any of this stuff. It's quite interesting to see how this might change. For example, Most of the tournaments are licensed for free to people who want to run them or stream them. Occasionally, you're seeing certain events that pop up where they're charging pay-per-view or something like that. Seeing how the money side of this changes, that's something I'm quite interested in. And this is something I am not interested in. Because the vibe I'm getting from these words here is it's like, hey, like you guys get to watch our Tekken tournaments for free. You guys get to restream. I'm someone who restreams a lot. If I don't go to a tournament, I'm normally, if I'm not competing or commentating a tournament, I'm normally at home restreaming the tournament. It's like, hey, you guys are making money doing that. How about you give us some of that money? Like, this is the vibe I'm getting. It's like, you sit at home, you restream our tournaments, we let you do that for free. We don't ask for anything. How about a little money gets thrown our way? Like, this is the vibe I'm getting from, it's like a mafia boss shakedown. You know, like, hey man, you're on our block, you're on our property, man. Like, man, you need a protection fee. You know, man, you gotta give us a little protection fee. If you want to keep operating on these premises, you dig what I'm saying? You might get a little gabagoo. Sorry, I don't even know what accent that was supposed to be. And then he mentions that the Capcom Cup is just one example of many, but I can't think of many examples. Like, when it comes to esports in general, there's not a huge pay-per-view model. The only example of it is paying to go to the venue to watch these events. Like, I pay attention to a lot of Counter-Strike. You see like a Counter-Strike World Finals or something, like they're majors every year. Like, they're in massive arenas, packed out, sold out, and like that is a pay-per-view element. But if you want to watch that same event at home, you can do so for free. You ever see League of Legends Worlds? That production value and the sort of scope of what that gives is absolutely insane. Again, you can watch that at home for free. There isn't a pay-per-view model there. And if you compare those to like perhaps a Tekken World Tour Finals, where the product in terms of what we're getting in terms of production value just isn't on that same level at all. Same with Capcom Cup. It just simply, like, if we're being objective here, simply is not on the same level at all. I do think it is a bit of a audacious thing to sort of suggest maybe you should like pay to watch these world finals. When look at what League Worlds does, look at what like a Valorant Champs does, look at what like a CS Major does. It just doesn't seem to compute. And yes, I do understand in those other games they are just making way more money in general from the player base. Like, they'll sell skins, for instance. Like in general, they make a lot more money than the FGC does, which is why they're able to then also put on these bigger things, as we make so much revenue throughout the year. And they have a lot higher viewership and obviously probably more lucrative sponsors. We saw better deliverables and rates and what they get compared to what you might see in the FGC. That is completely understandable, but still, it's quite an ask to be like, you should pay for Tekken World Tour Finals and Capcom Pro Tour Finals. And one thing I do find quite interesting in this article is last month, Street Fighter 6 director Takayuki Nakayama revealed that he had no idea about the decision to charge players to watch the streams, and that he and producer Shuhei Matsumoto both found out about while they were at Tokyo Game Show itself. So it does kind of seem like it's a scene being made at the detriment to the FGC from maybe these higher up corporate guys who are like, we must make money as much as we can. And also, obviously, for Street Fighter, I can understand it a bit more, just because I don't know if you guys know how big Street Fighter is in Japan, but it is huge. It is absolutely massive what Street Fighter is doing in Japan right now. Like, it is, as a general like, it's huge. It is huge, Street Fighter in Japan. It generally starts to compare to like your traditional esports in terms of popularity and viewership when it comes to Japan. And I think there are people looking at that from the corporate side, perhaps, who are like, we can make some money off of this now. Okay, people are watching our events for free. I can't have that. And then also that you see Harada mentions earlier about there are people who stream this one for free. You're then also fucking over the restreamers, because like that's a part of their job too. Like, content creators, that's a part of their job too, to be like, hey, we restream these events when we don't go. People love our restreams. It's a big part of like a lot of content for a lot of these guys. And I think it's a slap in the face to all of them, You know, it's like, hey, you're losing out on this, by the way. Like, we need the pay, because obviously if you pay for it, you can't then restream it for free, right? Like, you can't charge people to enter your stream, and then like it's a big anti FGC, anti community decision, is my point at the end of the day. Yeah, I just do find, like, I think one thing to me is that it does feel like right now are the Tekken team, are the main people at the top just out of touch with the community. Because again, if you look at other things at these events, we are being streamed and people are participating, where the average streamers are big influencers. Lots of companies are coming in, putting money into advertise for these events, and lots of influencers are making big money off of their streams. Now, when he says that, like, I wonder what he's referring to. Like, is he, does he mean like your average Tekken influencer streaming? Like, because I can tell you that's not the case. There is no big money to be made in restreaming. Obviously, it's not like you just getting like we do get paid for this, like mainly through ad revenue, but you know, there's no sponsorship sort of model for it. Like, once we're allowed to restream, we make our ad revenue and our subs from Twitch or YouTube memberships, etc. And that's about it. Like, never in my life, I don't think I've ever been offered payments to restream a tournament. And it just, yeah, it's confusing, because I think one thing that's been very apparent from being in Tekken for so long is like these developers, or like the people at top, there isn't great like community outreach, there isn't great community management. So like there's like either like an unwillingness or a just like confusion around like how working with content creators works. You know, like you don't really see Bamco work very often with content creators when it comes to these games. And I do think that is the type of thing that does end up shooting them in the foot at the end of the day, because then without like any like interaction or knowledge of it, you might start thinking these guys are making big money off of our game, we should have some of that money. Like, that is the vibe that comes across from these words here. But yeah, just me, it does seem a bit interesting, right? So in case you guys are unaware, the interview where all of this came from was taken during Evo France, right? So that is where the interview came from, and then it just got posted yesterday by the Game Business, and then VGC made their article on it as well, I think yesterday or today. So that is like the timing of it, of everything, right? So like, yeah, like I think just where we're at right now, I think as a community, we're just a bit tired. I have a video coming out this week talking about the main balance changes I think need to be addressed with the game. One thing that's quite interesting, Margin Obama was in my chat the other day, and he was sort of saying that, like, you know, why are we doing the seasonal system? Like, he's saying maybe Tekken 8 needs like a full title update, like, you know, a Dark Resurrection, a Final Retribution, Bloodline Rebellion, etc, etc. And that is something I actually wholeheartedly agree with. I think right now, I think with the state of the game is in, that is a type of overhaul that might be needed. But I just don't think it's gonna happen. Like, I think it's a nice thing to think about, and I think it's definitely something that to sort of ponder. I'll probably be making videos talking about that as well, and like what we'd be expecting to see, because I've never really experienced a title update in the time I've been competing in Tekken, right? Like, my first experience with Tekken competitive was Tekken 7 on console, and that was it. You know, I didn't play it in the arcade, so I didn't see the massive changes from there. All of the changes I know about from arcade to console in Tekken 7 was stuff that I'd seen retroactively. So I don't know how much you really will get changed in a title update. But obviously, it's a lot bigger than a season change, right? But I do think Tekken is in a state right now where that might be the best route to go, because there's just so much. Like, when I do think about the things that need to be like nerfed coming to season 3, it's just so much stuff widespread. A lot of the new moves are problematic. But like, yeah, I'll definitely be talking about that at a later date. So make sure you guys subscribe and tune in for that. Like, we're going to try and save Tekken 8 one step at a time. But yeah, thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Please like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.